and our fees. I pray that you bless the county community
to welcome you all to this actual event.
So let's clap, please. And the plan is now officially unveiled. Honorable Speaker, Bwana Kiraya, tafadhali, kila mtu ashike kipande. Asanteni sana. Asanteni sana.
Once again, King of Glory,
kuomba wewe ndio mwenye sifa njema kugeuza usiku mchana. Ya Allah mjalie gavana.
This is why we are here today, to launch the El Nino Interagency Preparedness. The plan lays out comprehensive response, Your Excellency, response that involves the government,
and they have spoken about what they are doing to handle the response within their sectors. Because if you look at the strategy that we are launching today, or the plan that we are launching today, it's a sector-based plan. So we are taking a multi-sectoral and multi-agency approach. So each sector has outlined what they're doing in the immediate, what they're doing pre the flooding, what they're doing during the flooding, and what they're doing post the El Nino, and so in every area. So it's a very detailed plan that we have. Importantly also is a communication plan that has been put together by our communication teams to ensure that the publics and our people are constantly appraised or updated on what is happening right now, before the El Nino, during the El Nino, and after the El Nino. And I think the communication people also spoke to their plans here. That's very, very important, because we can't have a response without the people knowing what we are doing and what's happening. And then there's a whole plan around resource mobilization. And this is important because, as has been said, this is one of the effects of climate change. And when we were at the Africa Climate Summit last week, the other week or last week, it was discussed as to just how much climate change is disrupting governments. Because right now we have our ADP, we have our CIDP, and we have our ADP. It is costed. We have a budget. It does not include some of the things that are going to emerge out of this El Nino process. Again, what was discussed in a big way is that some of the biggest emitters, you know, of carbon that is escalating climate change are not really us here in Africa. It is the West and other places. But the biggest sufferers of the effects are sitting here today. It is our people here in Mutembei and in other parts of Kenya and Africa. And because of this disruption, surely no budget, no government can sustain this response on their own. And that is why we must have a robust resource mobilization plan, so that we reach out to our partners, to as many people as possible to help us during this season, so that even after the El Nino, we don't come out and all we can do within the financial year is only to respond to the effects of El Nino and not do any other programs within our ADP for this financial year. So resource mobilization is a very strong aspect within that. Will be led by our CC for Health, Rosemary Omolo, and a team that has been put together, working of course under the bigger committee that is led by the governance and the disaster teams. While we are handling this response, we must know that we have vulnerable groups that are disproportionately affected by this El Nino rain. When you think about children, you think about the elderly, you think about people living with disability, you think about women, you think about young people, you think about our fisherfolk who will be out there and not really being able to come back much. So the plan also integrates these vulnerable groups, and the planning is done together with them. Then there is the whole monitoring and evaluation of our interventions and the impact of our interventions. So we want to ensure that the affected population are supported and that we lay down proper recovery measures post El Nino. Of course, this involves building climate resilience and ensuring climate adaptation within our communities. So the success of this plan rests upon the collective efforts of all of us. I implore the residents of Homa Bay County to remain vigilant and well informed about the weather conditions. It is imperative that you adhere to the instructions and warnings issued by the relevant authorities to ensure your safety. I wish to underscore the significance of community preparedness in this response. We must come together and identify vulnerable areas, taking the necessary steps to safeguard our homes and property. This involves the clearing of drainage systems, which we are going to start doing right now at Sokomjinga, reinforcing infrastructure, especially within our informal settlements, and Danish and his team, together with Ogola, who are working together to prepare plans and designs for infrastructure that we intend to put up around our informal settlements to ensure that they are well prepared before the rains begin, and having readily available emergency kits. I'd like to, I want to assure you of our unwavering commitment to mitigating the impact of El Nino, and in times of crisis, we must unite and strive to be each other's support system. I urge each and every one of you to play your part by staying informed, being prepared, and supporting one another during this.
One of the things that we are planning to do is to engage with the two tiers of government, especially the national government, our administration and our administrators. We will work closely with you to get messages to the people during barasas, during meetings at churches and mosques, and this is all by word of mouth. Besides, we plan as communications to go on radio, to communicate with our local radio stations and even the national radio stations. I'm sure the national government will also be doing its part where communications is concerned, and we'll just be replicating the same down here just to ensure that our people are well informed and they are ready. During a time of crisis, sometimes there's a lot of confusion, and our role then is to just come in and ensure that there's some form of coordination.
But I want to let you know that when it comes to the effects of El Nino, which have already been emphasized by a number of the past speakers, El Nino will actually uproot even trees. It will cause the blackout everywhere in this county and in the entire, possibly the region. The El Nino effects will make the lake to swell and also rivers also to swell. So it is coming. So let us prepare to act swiftly when we are being called upon.